Parceritos y parceritas, welcome to Classic Diez Podcast. Today we have a very special guest to talk about the Hammers. With us is Tom Das Football. How you going, mate?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Very exciting to have you here to talk about this very nice club that are really interesting to know more about it.
Yeah, big history. We're not doing so great at the moment, but we've had some good moments. We've had some bad moments. I've been around for some of it.
That's very good, very exciting. And actually, I remember last season it was very special season playing the Europa League. Welcome back to like a lot of like very good players that they were with not the biggest name, but now they have a very nice future coming soon.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be a West Ham fan, I think, especially with last season getting so far into the Europa League, and then this year we've got the Conference League as
Conference.
well. The league's not going so great, but we're undefeated in the Conference League, so hopefully post World Cup we can push on in the league as well.
Yeah, and like many people say like, oh, the Conference League is not important, etc. But like if you have a trophy from the, like European competition, well, give it to me. I don't care, you know?
Yeah, I think as a West Ham fan, I'm 24 years old. I've never seen West Ham win anything apart from the Championship playoff final.
Oh,
I'd kill for the Conference League. I think it's a great level of football for that kind of step in between
yeah.
pushing on to the upper levels and kind of mid-table in the Premier League. I think it's a great step, and honestly, I think some of the games are more interesting than you find in upper levels of the European competition.
Yeah. Even like I saw last season Roma with Mourinho celebrating,
Yeah.
like, you know, like it, and you are talking about Mourinho that he already won the Champions, the Europa League, how many Premier
Mm.
Leagues, La Liga, etc. And he was like super excited to win the Conference League. I think it's like just a great competition as well.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
why not? Like if I would like to have like that trophy in my club.
Mm.
Well, let's start from the beginning. Present yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Tom Dyer from London. I support West Ham, unfortunately. It was kind of passed down from my dad, also a West Ham fan. I grew up like 5 minutes away from Crystal Palace, but my dad pushed West Ham on me, so I didn't
Okay.
really have a choice.
Oh, that's nice though. So it comes from the
Mm.
family as well, which is
Yeah.
it's actually very common in Europe. Like in South America, it's not that common that stuff. But
Mm.
I've been like talking with different people in the podcast, and some of them has like this background of clubs, you know, like my dad, my granddad, etc., which is very
Mm.
interesting. Because yeah, you keep with the colors, you keep with all the
Yeah.
legacy.
Yeah, it's kind of I know particularly in England, it's either you support your local club or you support your dad's football club.
Yeah.
It's really weird because my dad grew up next to West Ham's biggest rivals, Millwall. So I've got no idea how he
Oh,
ended up being a West Ham fan.
well, you need to ask him
Yeah.
what happened there. Well, you say that you're born like in Crystal Palace in London. You still living there as well.
Yeah, I still live in South London. I've
Okay.
I've got my season ticket to West Ham, so I have to commute up to East
Oh,
London to get to every
yeah.
game.
Well, nice trip though.
Yeah, it's not too bad. We're pretty well connected in the city.
Oh, that's good. Well, tell me about like who is Tom? Like, what do you do? Do you have a work?
So I'm 24 years old. I work in a big art center up in London. I'm a sound and lighting engineer. So I mix the sound and set up the lights for shows so they look and sound good for the audience.
Okay, so like this, like shared sport is more about like your passion, like a
Yeah.
hobby, but it's not like actually that you living from that.
No, I don't make my money off of buying and selling football shirts. I just do it. I find ones that I like and I keep them purely for my own collection and having kind of a niche of interesting shirts.
That's very good because like it's very common as well that all of us in the community we have like this just passion for the shirts, and it's not like, oh, this is my job, I'm selling and doing this for like
Mm.
business. It's more how we love, how we grow with this culture, and like we are just like fans of it, you know, like I
Yeah, for
really
sure. I feel
love.
like I feel like if I made money off the shirts, I wouldn't appreciate them as much, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah,
Like I'd buy them just to sell them, and I wouldn't actually appreciate them for what they are.
yeah,
Like these shirts behind me, I'd never sell any of them just because they mean a lot to me. Like they have different stories, and I just
yeah.
love every single one of them individually. I couldn't sell them.
Yeah, and this is like part of why like I decided to create the podcast as well. It's like let the people know what is behind each collector, because you can kind of like you never humanize the person. You see like the Instagram, or
Mm.
like you see like that person like this or that, but you never know why, what is behind of that. So if
Yeah.
you wanna, you just tell me like about the story that your dad moved like to you, like all this background of West Ham. But tell me, like in yourself, you have another answer of like why West Ham?
So originally, I was a Chelsea fan, which sounds
Oh, do you?
awful.
Okay.
As a small kid, I played football since I was 6, and one of my coaches was a Chelsea fan, and that got passed on to me. And then
Yeah.
my dad took me to a game at Stamford Bridge. I think it was Blackburn, and it was a 0-0 draw, and it was one of the most boring football games I've ever seen in my life. And then a couple months, weeks later, he took me to a West Ham game at Upton Park, and I've got no idea what game it was, but it was unreal. And at Upton Park, the crowd was it was insane sometimes. And I think I fell in love with West Ham then. I
Mhm.
felt how much it meant to everyone around me and my dad next to me. And it was kind of, okay, maybe I should stop. And I think that following Christmas, he got me my first West Ham shirt. It might have been the one you're wearing, actually.
Oh, is it? That's very
I think it
nice.
might have been.
This has like a story as well behind the sponsor, that they were
Mm,
having like another one called Excel. Do you remember?
yeah,
And this
yeah,
like got broke, and then they have to like
yeah.
do whatever they have. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, like also, I think like in a big city as London, it's you have many chances. You can select a lot of teams, and
Hmm.
each one of them has like different, like the story behind. For example, Chelsea is pretty new, all the story that they
Yeah.
have of like winning trophies and all that stuff. Because if you remember them in the 90s, in the 80s, they were like a pretty average team,
Mm.
not a top team as they are now. Uh, so as well, like I think all these um, like flavors, let's say, about each team, it's the ones that you make you select as well which one you want.
Yeah, I think London's got a great kind of football culture. There's teams kind of every half an hour. Like my local team is Wimbledon now, and obviously
Yeah.
They had Wimbledon, and then they moved to Milton Keynes and then disbanded and became AFC Wimbledon. I think it's a testament to how much football means in England as well as London specifically. So we've got so many football teams to pick from. As you said, each one has its own story. I think the culture it's enriched by kind of how much the people buy into it, how much it means to people on a Saturday and a Sunday. And yeah, I think football's unreal
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah. and
specifically in London for me. Yeah.
and they've been, I think it's like a very modern football as well. Teams as Manchester City, PSG, Chelsea, now Newcastle, they have their own stories behind, but right now they have a different story. You know what I mean? Like it's
Mm,
totally different. That clubs,
yeah.
even if you are from like a fan from the 80s, from the 90s, when the team was not like in the best years, uh, you cannot say like, oh, that team is like exactly the same that it used to be. Like they
Mm.
change a lot. And
Yeah, it almost becomes a completely different football team
yeah,
if you
exactly,
understand what I'm
exactly.
saying.
And it's not just for the, not for the players that they have or the money that they have. It's all the culture, all that is
Mm,
like marketing behind them, that for example change all the
yeah.
background of the fans of Chelsea that used to be just London people, for example, and
Yeah.
now they are a lot in Korea, they are a lot in
Mm,
South America, they are a lot in everywhere. But it's just like how they make all this moving money to attract that people, which is
mm.
interesting as well. But for example, a team as West Ham, totally different point of view.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see the culture change at West Ham with the move to the London Stadium.
Yeah,
Um, I don't think a lot of West Ham fans wanted to move. I was it was 2016, so how old was I? I was kind of 18 years old when we moved. I didn't really know what to think about it. I think it was the right decision to push us on to the next level. I'm not sure we could have done Europa and the Conference League with being at Upton Park, but the atmosphere at the ground has suffered, even though
Yeah.
we get double the amount of people in the stands.
And that's as well, for example, what Fulham does. They keep the same stadium, and it's
Yeah,
like just magically everything there. Like it's
yeah,
very all the vibes, everything is like just represents so much the club.
mm.
But well, I think like the London stadium is huge, and it's a big step for like what is the level of West Ham at the moment as well. So it's very interesting to see all these like exciting players coming and being attracted for a club as West
Yeah. I
Ham.
think I think the stadium is a big thing to draw players. Like in the summer, we spent, I think it's something stupid like 100 million. We brought in Lucas Paqueta from Brazil
Yeah,
and
it's a lot of
Gianluca
money.
Scamacca from Italy. It was
Yeah,
like, if we were still at Upton Park, we wouldn't be able to draw in these big players that
yeah,
other teams are
and
interested in, and they
yeah,
chose us.
it's Kamaka. It was like calling the attention for really big clubs as
Yeah.
well, and he decided to come there.
Mm.
And same with Paqueta. Paqueta was like super top player in Lyon. Everyone was asking for
Yeah.
him, and well, now he's in West Ham. So
Yeah.
congratulations. And actually, like I think the biggest signing for West Ham was keeping Declan Rice as well. Declan Rice
It
level is
will.
top
I think
player.
every season keeping him is so important. There's been a couple of rumors this season about this might be his last one, and honestly, I can't blame him because he deserves to go on and win stuff. I
Yeah,
think if he didn't try and push to go to a city or somewhere in like Spain, like Madrid or something, he'd be it would be silly, and he'd be wasting his career at West Ham if he did stay and we didn't win anything. I'd love to hold on to him till the end of his contract, but I don't see it happening with bids around 80 and 100 million popping up. We're never going to be able to hold on to it.
yeah, and I think it's had to be like a toxic relationship as well. Um, Players, I don't know, I want to put example, but it's not the right one. But like Hurricane has a lot of opportunities to move to everywhere in the world, being a
Mm.
top striker. He decided to stay in Tottenham, and the last like compensation that they have for resign the contract, it was just stupid, insane. Like there was a lot of like literally drama behind them, and it happened with another teams and players like Donnarumma with Milan.
Mm.
They were like just okay. If you don't give me that money, I just gonna go and play the Champions League in another club, which makes sense. But you know what I mean? Like it's very difficult for the club perspective and for the
Mm.
player as well. So it's becomes just a very toxic relationship that always like breaking up.
Yeah,
Not the best
I
way.
think I think it's hard because I'm pretty sure West Ham have offered Declan Rice a few contracts that he's turned down. I don't know whether they didn't meet his demands or he's just decided he's going. Um, I think West Ham fans will be disappointed to see him leave, but like I said, he deserves to be winning stuff. And realistically, West Ham aren't going to be winning the Premier League or the Champions League in 10, 20 years time, I don't think. Um, so yeah, I think end of his contract, it might be time for him to move on. If West Ham can shoot up the ranks and get a Premier League in the next 5 years, I won't be complaining.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we were talking about like this all like crazy players, and I just want to know about like your childhood idol and your like current idol or player that you really like right now.
Okay. I think as a very small kid, I think it probably would have had to be David Beckham. Just
Okay.
as an English boy, he was kind of everyone's idol.
Yeah.
Kind of that I was probably too young for I think it was the 2002 free kick against Greece. But watching it
Oh
back,
yeah,
it's
the qualification
yeah,
goal. Yeah, was
yeah,
crazy moment.
yeah. And obviously,
Epic.
as England captain, he's kind of on a pedestal for everyone.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then moving into my teenage years, it's going to be a bit weird, but James Tompkins and Winston Reid, who used to play centre back for West Ham, I used to love. I played centre back as a kid,
yeah.
so I used to love watching them, and they were just such a good pair. I mean, West Ham were rubbish, but they were so good every time I watched them. I was like, how are we losing so much when we've got these two at the back? And now I think It'd probably have to be Declan Rice. I just think we're the same age, which sounds really weird to say that someone that I admire so much is my age. But I just think he's an unreal footballer. Like how have West Ham managed to get him?
What do you think about the Premier League this year? Do you have any favorite?
I think it's got to be City again. I think
You reckon?
Arsenal are doing a great job at the moment, but I'm not sure they can hold on to it. I'd love to see them do it. I've got so many mates who are Arsenal fans just because I live in London, so
Mm-hmm.
we're all mismatch everywhere. I'd love to see Arsenal do it because it's been so long, but I don't see them holding on for the rest of the season. It'd be great if they could. Don't get me wrong, but I just think City have enough in their bank, especially with Haaland and who's the Argentinian striker that they've got as well? Is it
Uh,
Alvarez?
Alvarez, yeah, Julian.
Yeah, he's second choice, and he's doing that in the World Cup
Yeah,
semi-final.
it's gonna
I
be
think,
it's gonna be very
yeah,
difficult for Guardiola now that he's back.
yeah, I think,
Yeah,
yeah, it's. I think they just got too much quality all over the pitch to not
yeah,
win the league again.
yeah. I think like the difference of points that Arsenal has, it's very important. But
Mm,
for example, Gabriel Jesus now out for a time. It's
yeah,
gonna be difficult if you don't buy a quality player as him
mm,
to keep the team moving until he come back and like return with the same like fitness level, because he was being very important and very impressive in
yeah.
in Arsenal. I was seeing his movements and it was like, what the fuck? He used to not play like that in
You didn't
City,
see that at City, yeah,
carrying with the team, holding the ball, like making the space for the other ones. It was like insane. And now that he's like out, it's gonna be very difficult for Arsenal to try
yeah. I
to
think
find a player as important as
they
him.
they're gonna have to. I think Odegaard and Saka specifically,
Yeah.
as their two kind of talisman, are gonna have to step up and secure those points. But whether they can, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and it's same is happening. Well, not exactly the same, but like Napoli in Serie A as well. Everyone is like, do you reckon they're gonna hold it, or do you reckon like
Mm,
Milan is gonna turn it, or even Juventus? You never know, you know. Um,
yeah,
I really hope as well Arsenal wins the league, because it's going to be very great to have them in the Champions League with a competitive team. Um,
mm,
Very happy to like do this change again. Like always, the last battles of the Premier League's been like City with no one or City with Liverpool. That's it.
yeah.
So nice to have an Arsenal becoming one of the favorites. Uh, Talking about the Champions League, what do you reckon this year?
I think it's crazy that Barcelona drops out already. Like unreal. I think the
Shocking.
group stage was so interesting. What was the first game? Napoli beating Liverpool. Was it
Yeah,
4
as
0
well. Yeah, yeah, like
It's
crazy.
I just don't. I think it's really hard to place this season, especially with the World Cup break in the middle between. I mean, it's a big break between the group stages and the knockouts anyway. But yeah, I think it's so hard to call. So I might sit on the fence and not give you an answer for this one just because I can't tell.
Well, in the like previous guests in the podcast, they were saying like Manchester City is the favorite as well, because they have a very big team. Like they
Yeah.
have 26 players and 20 of them very high level. So you
Mm,
can change, even like the example that we were talking about, Haaland and
yeah.
Alvarez. You can just like swap them
But
and they're
they
gonna
seem to
keep
got that Champions League curse though, haven't they?
Yeah, that's a problem. But Guardiola again, like same team, same coach.
Yeah.
Let's try it again. I think it's like
Mm,
a good chance again. But you never can say no to Real Madrid, for example. It's
yeah.
like they have something, and
Yeah, there's kind of 4 or 5 teams every year that could go on and win it. They could have meltdown in the quarters or semis. So I think it's just so hard to call.
okay. Well, Tom, let's talk a little bit more about your collection now.
Mhm.
Do you know a number? Do you know a number of how many jerseys do you have at the moment?
I think at the moment I've got 52, which I know compared to a lot of collectors I see on Instagram, it is very small. But I think I'm quite selective with the shirts I get. It's either a shirt that I really love or it'll be a shirt from a really, really small country.
Okay.
So I am quite selective with the shirts I pick up. I don't want to go splashing money on things that I think are just average.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is slowly growing.
But that's okay. I was having a guess last time as well. He has now nearly 66, 70. And he said like he was pretty happy with what he has because every single piece means something for him as well.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
is
same here.
yeah, totally up to the person, up to the collector. Because yeah, I know people 400 and they love the jerseys to have it. But it's like just depending on yourself, how you feel confident. If you have to choose, would you prefer the retro kits or more like the modern ones?
I'm definitely a modern shirt kind of guy.
Modern.
I can't. I mean, I appreciate a retro shirt. I just can't get into them. I think the oldest I'd go is kind of early 2000s. I think that's kind of my cutoff. Before that, I don't think I'd get anything before I was born for sure.
Okay. Do you have like a reason?
It's just kind of I think modern shirts, they just look a bit better to me, which is
Okay.
going to be sacrilege to some people, I know. But yeah, I think the feel and look of a modern shirt and the things you can do with a shirt nowadays is it's crazy.
Yeah, the
They just
technology.
yeah, they feel a bit better to me buying rather than spending £100 on a Holland 88 shirt.
Yeah, like 1,000. I saw
Yeah,
people
sorry,
selling
I'm a bit
for
of an understatement.
1,000 for the
Yeah,
88 from Holland.
yeah,
It's crazy. It's so much money. Yeah, it depends as well of each person. The retros, the people that love retros, it's because it's very hard to hunting.
mm,
Like finding a 90s jersey in mint condition, super difficult and
mm,
expensive. So either or take your time and find it or pay the money, which is
yeah.
thousands. But yeah, what about the name sets? Do you like have your jerseys with name sets or you don't care?
I don't often get them with names. The only ones I did last season, I got all three West Ham shirts with names. So I got that with because it was his final
Last,
season.
yeah.
So yeah, I got the three shirts with I think I got two Noble shirts and a Rice shirt just because he's insane. Um but I don't usually get name sets really, no.
Not interested. It
No.
depends as well. For example, in the retro shirts, I'm very picky because
Mm,
retro shirts with original sponsor or original name sets, very rare to see in good condition and very
mm,
hard to prove that that's actually
yeah.
like an authentic or not. If you don't have
Hmm.
another one to compare, it's very
Yeah.
difficult. I hear, I watch like a YouTube uh, guy talking about classic football shirts selling a
Hmm.
remake name sets as originals when it was not, and he was like
Hmm.
proving that it was like a fake, a remake number and name, which is very, you were not expecting of as huge company
Yeah. Kind of the leaders of
saying
the
that,
market as well.
yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, like probably classic football shirts was not uh, know that information because how you
Mm.
can prove it is very difficult. And do you have like a team that you have more jerseys in your collection?
It's got to be West Ham.
Okay. Do you have a number ish?
It's got to be around 2025, I think. At least half of my collection is
Oh,
West Ham for sure.
big. Yeah,
Yeah.
big number. Oh, that's very
I,
nice as
I
well.
tried
Like,
to get I tried to get all three from each season.
oh,
Um,
that's cool.
yeah.
And do you wear it as well?
Yeah, I'm constantly in a football shirt, so I'll rotate between kind of West Ham and other shirts. I wear the ones behind me quite a lot as well as this Barca shirt.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you'll often find me in a claret and blue shirt, just kicking about.
um, and do you have like a favorite shirt at the moment?
At the moment,
Yeah,
I mean, this Italy shirt will forever be
you
my
just love
favorite,
it.
I think. Yeah, it's one of the most beautiful shirts, I think, despite everyone I talk to hating it for some reason.
It's the green one, right? Like it's very
Yeah,
the green. Yeah, I think it's very
yeah.
beautiful. The buttons around the shirt is very
Mm.
cool. So, and do you remember which was your first shirt?
My first shirt, it was probably an England shirt. I can't remember what year it was. I don't know if you remember it. They had like a St. George's cross on the shoulder.
Yeah, 2006, the
Yeah, that might
Euro
have been
Cup.
it.
The Euro
Yeah, that
Cup.
might have been my first shirt that I remember
That's
anyway.
that's the one that Beckham missed the penalty in with
Yeah,
Portugal. Do you remember
yeah,
the goalkeeper take the gloves off and he was without
mm,
gloves. Yeah, and he kicked it out. Um,
yeah.
well, let's talk about a little bit about your numbers as well. Which is like the most expensive shirt that you have in your collection?
I think it's the Ajax shirt, that one, the
Okay,
the Bob Marley shirt.
yeah.
I think
Do
I
you,
bought it from the Ajax store, so I had to pay shipping from
Netherlands?
Amsterdam to London as well, so that added on to the price. And I had to pay tax as well because of Brexit, which is a big problem for buying
Uh,
football shirts
yeah,
now.
okay.
Um, so I think it ended up being really expensive, way more expensive than I was expecting. But I mean, I think it's worth it.
Do you have a number ish?
So I think the shirt alone was £80.
Okay.
I think I paid £20 for shipping and then about 50 for tax. So about 150 quid.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Could be double. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Very
was a bit
expensive.
insane.
But it's that jersey as well is not it's very beautiful, very
Mm,
meaningful as well. And same, it was like a very short manufacturer
yeah.
number. So it's very difficult to find nowadays, even
Mm,
though it's like 1-2 years ago. It's not like
yeah.
a old piece, but yeah, it's very
Yeah.
difficult. Do you know which was the last shirt that you bought?
The last shirt I got this Juventus shirt
Oh
from
yeah,
2021, I think.
yeah.
Was
That
that?
was Ronaldo
And
still
then
playing there.
yeah, and then I
It
think I
is
got
it is a player suit or it's
no, no,
the
no. It's just
fan
a
version.
stadium shirt.
Oh yeah.
And then I got the pink Real Madrid shirt, I think from the same season, the away shirt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the like light pink.
yeah, with the blue Creston Adidas stripes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was beautiful. I actually don't have that one. I'm like a Real Madrid fan, and I have
yeah.
the home, but I don't have the way of that season. Which jersey you will never buy?
You never find me buying a Millwall shirt. You would never ever or Spurs either. I couldn't bring myself to get a Spurs shirt.
Why? Why Spurs is like such a hated team?
It's just the rivalry between them and West Ham. I don't even know why because we're not even their main rivals. Arsenal are. So
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just become a thing. I specifically noticed it in the past kind of few years. It's just become a really big rivalry. I don't know if it's just me not paying attention before, but yeah, I really notice it now.
but I talk with people from Chelsea as well, and they start to say as well like just like the Spurs, I don't like it, which is not normal for them. But
I think
yeah, I don't know
they're
why.
with their new stadium, they're becoming kind of a big presence in football and their rise into the Champions League and European football. They are establishing themselves as part of the kind of big six in English
Yeah.
football. So I think it's kind of that rivalry that you see between kind of Liverpool and United where they're challenging for the same spots. So I
Yeah.
mean, not as much anymore, but in the past they were challenging for the same spots. So maybe that's why I don't know why West Ham are competing with that because we're definitely not challenging for Champions League. Um, but yeah, I think people are starting to see Spurs as a good football club that can compete and potentially win stuff in the future. Maybe not this season or next season, but in a couple of seasons' time, they'll start winning, I think.
I honestly 2 seasons ago I thought West Ham was like they could make it. They could not like done the Leicester, but I thought
Mm.
like they're gonna be there. They're gonna be like the
Yeah,
fourth
I
or
think it was
fifth,
1 point or something, I think, getting
close.
us out of Champions
And
League.
like the last probably 5-6 matches, you see even the fixture, and it was like it's possible they can make it.
Mm.
And well,
Also, following on from your question, I don't tend to collect English football clubs. So the only English shirts I have are West Ham, and I've got a whole shirt because I went to university there. So I picked up a football shirt. But I don't really collect English clubs because I don't know. It was something I decided when I started collecting. I didn't pick up English football clubs.
so just pure West Ham and
Hmm.
international.
Yeah.
Okay, Tom. So you told me which was the more expensive jersey that you have now? Which is the cheapest?
I bought a Lesotho home shirt from
Oh,
2019. I think it was
yeah.
£12.99. It's an okay shirt. It's not the greatest shirt I've ever bought. There you go. Lesotho. And the
Yeah,
badge is not great.
that's
um
that country is very funny because they are inside of a
yeah,
country.
it's in South Africa, isn't it?
Yeah, inside of
Yeah.
South Africa. So they actually doesn't have like anything. All the
Yeah.
frontiers is South Africa. Yeah, very, very funny
Yeah, like I was
because
saying earlier, it was a niche country that I found. No, and I'll get that.
yeah, it's very, very funny, very special. I used to have one from one of the islands. I think it's Mauritius. I
Mm,
have that's okay, Jesse. And I was trying to find information about it, and it was like extremely difficult because it was not photos of the
mm,
shirt before 2010, something like that.
yeah.
Even
I
the even
I I tried to branch out and buy a few kind of small countries. I tried to buy an Antigua and Barbuda shirt as well as an
yeah.
Aruba shirt. Um, it turns out that the seller, it's quite a well-known seller. I don't know if I should out them, but they're selling kind of templates and they just put stickers on them. They're not the actual shirts.
Oh my god.
Um, yeah, it was a bit annoying. They're really nice. Well, the Antigua shirt's really nice, but it looks like the shirt, but I know that it's a template that he should put stickers on, which is a bit annoying. Um, so yeah, I I'm trying to go into those kind of smaller countries, and doing the research on those was really hard, trying to find out the shirts that they've worn, like you were saying. But yeah, I just recommend anyone who's listening and wants to buy a shirt from a small country, just be careful. Do a lot of research if you
Yeah,
can.
yeah, yeah. And the thing is, like, seriously, after 2010, even if you think that is unbelievable, like the photography, it was
Mm.
none,
Yeah.
none in like these small countries. Even if the federation still created and they were
Mhm.
like in competitions, FIFA competitions, they actually doesn't have photographer in those matches, so you cannot find
Yeah.
any information of
Mhm.
if it's authentic or not. Um, well, but very nice that one, this Lesotho jersey. Like the best shirt that you receive as a gift.
I think so. My sister has a trend where for kind of Christmases and birthdays, she likes to buy me really random shirts. She got me Forge FC from the Canadian Premier League this season. They won the shirt. They won the league in that shirt this season. It's bright orange, and it's got a really cool pattern on it. And I think it's got to be my favorite that I've been gifted. I think.
Oh, very nice. No, very nice as well. Your sister give it you this,
Yeah.
supporting your hobby as well, which is
Mm.
not normal. I would love that my sister give me shirts. Um, which is, do you have any like regret about selling or giving any share that you said like, oh, when I did this, it's gonna take me time to recover that jersey?
Yeah, so I as a kid I had a Marseille 2010, I think it was, third shirt. It was the black one with I think it was red and green down stripe down the side. Um and I gave it away. I didn't hold on to it, which is a big regret of mine. I think it's such a good shirt. I should have kept it. It wouldn't have fit me anymore, but it would have been nice to have still, and I shouldn't have given it away, really.
Okay. And do you have a share that you like try to find, and you like, I really want this, and you can't find it yet?
Yeah, I think it's the same as everyone. I think the Roma third from 2019-20 season, the blue one with the wolf in the
Oh yeah, that's very
circles. Yeah,
nice. Yeah,
I
it's the
I
Nike
tried
one.
for
Yeah,
so long. Yeah, and
yeah.
I found it once in, I think it was a double XL, and
Oh,
it was on
like,
eBay. When I saw it, it was £30, and I was like, yeah, I'll put a bid on that. And then by the end, I think it got to like 250, just because everyone wants that shirt.
I think like it's very smart as well for the manufacturers as like Adidas and Nike release this like 3 or 4 kits, but very short, um manufacturer number.
Mm.
So everyone is like, oh yeah, I really like it. And very very rare colors, or the logo, it's like a little bit different.
Yeah.
But you can't get crazy with that. Like imagine like like double extra large, 200
Yeah.
pounds.
I was like, if I
Crazy.
spend £30 on a 2XL shirt, I'll get it. That's no
Yeah, that's
problem.
okay.
But it was like it went up so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. And like Roma has a very expensive kits
Mm,
from like the 2000s as well, the retro ones, and
mm.
like the capas,
Yeah.
super expensive
Hmm.
to find it. Mostly it was like the good years of them as well.
Hmm.
They were in the European competitions. They had like Batistuta of those years, so
Yeah.
difficult to find it. Well, now, do you want to tell me your best anecdote with like a soccer kit?
With that West Ham shirt I had up earlier, the Mark Noble one, I think last season going to the European nights, the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, I think beating Sevilla in I think it was the round of 16, it was one of the best nights I've had at a football game, and that shirt will forever remind me of that the Thomas Souček header and
Environment.
the Yarmolenko goal that put us through. It was the whole stadium erupted, and it was. I think my dad might have been crying next to me, just happy tears. It was, yeah, it was an unreal feeling being there in the shirt, and yeah, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
And it's like the against Sevilla as well. Like Sevilla was the king of that competition.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened with them, but they always win it.
Mm-hmm.
And look at you. You beat them and
Yeah.
you literally done it. I was thinking as well that the year was like, oh, so close. Which is
Mm.
very nice to see, seriously, like teams as West Ham
Yeah.
interrupting in the European competitions and being like a trouble for the other teams.
I think what was nice about that competition last season as well is even though the Champions League teams dropped down, none of them got to the final. So
Yeah,
Barcelona were
nothing.
beaten by Frankfurt on the way,
Yeah.
but to us, and then kind of it was Rangers and Frankfurt who'd been in the competition the whole time. I think it was a testament to how strong that competition actually is, and I don't think people expect it to be that good.
Yeah, because everyone was expecting actually seeing Barcelona winning that one.
Yeah.
And they were like unreal against Frankfurt.
Mm.
They beat them in Barcelona, which is
Yeah.
surprising. And look at this season as well. They're gonna go to the Europa League with I think like the strongest team that last season. But still, like that competition is very tough now. It has so many teams that they're gonna try to win it.
Mm. I think people see how much it means, especially after last season where the new kind of format of teams dropping down. They see how important it is, and even if you don't get that first chance in the Champions League, you can still win the Europa League. So teams do try and go for it, which I think
Yeah,
is good for the strength of the competition.
it's money, it's
Mm.
prestige. You're gonna have
Yeah,
that
for
trophy
sure.
forever. Um,
Mm.
and yeah, even if like, I bet you Manchester United, if they win the trophy again, they will like celebrate it. Even though they have a lot of Champions League, but like it still being like, okay, we
Mm.
are the champions. We have to go and go for the other trophy against the Super Cup for
Yeah.
the Champions League. It's still money playing, still like a good name of the team, and also you're creating that
Mm.
story behind. Well, Tom, we arrived to my favorite sections of the podcast.
Okay.
This is the surprising, so let's see how this is going. The first one, I'm just gonna tell you like random names, and I just wanna that you tell me whatever comes to your mind. So if it's
Mm.
a word or a sentence, all good, no problem.
Okay.
So we're gonna start with one of the biggest stars from West Ham United, Nene.
um, a bit anonymous. I don't particularly remember him doing much at West Ham, which is it. Yeah.
He was one of the biggest stars in PSG like those seasons, and then they move it and say like, wow, it's gonna be so nice to
Yeah.
have him here. Where is Nene?
Yeah, he didn't really do anything at West Ham, did he?
Yeah, no, nothing. You know that I'm Colombian, and West Ham, they have a Colombian like not far ago as well. I don't know if you remember him,
Was it
Armero.
Carlos Sanchez or Pablo Armero?
Armero.
Yeah,
Do you remember
I think
him?
he. Yeah, who did he signed with another player? I think was it I can't remember who it was. Yeah, I mean he was decent. I don't remember much about him, but he wasn't one of those players that go, oh, he was rubbish, like I do with a lot of West Ham players.
Yeah.
Good player, middle of the road, I think.
Okay. And what about Sanchez?
Sanchez wasn't great, I'll be honest. Specifically when you compare him to what we have now in defensive midfield in Declan Rice, he was shocking.
Yeah. Yeah, and he came as well like a good sign because he came for a previous season very, very strong in the midfield. And it was like what they need, like West Ham at that moment. Unfortunately, not the best. What about Pardew?
Pardy. See, my memory of Pardy, I know he got us to the FA Cup final, but my memory of Pardy is with Palace in the FA Cup final doing his little dance. Do you remember?
Yeah.
That's my vision of him. So he doesn't really relate to West Ham for me.
He's like a big star. He's a big star.
Yeah.
It's very funny what he did with West Ham and with Newcastle. And I don't know how a lot of teams were interested in hiring him. Straight away, he was like out of another team. It was like very funny. And it was like always in the Premier League, like not even going to Champions League. I don't know, championship. I don't know what happened with him.
I think Pardew gave Mark Noble his first start as well, if I remember right.
Yeah.
So
and
he's got to have a bit of a special place for giving a club legend his first start.
What about Di Canio?
I mean, that volley versus Wimbledon is the only thing you can say about Di Canio, I think. Despite all the stuff that's happened on later in his career, that's what he'll be remembered for at West Ham. Yeah. That one volley.
He was big star in the club. Well, this name, next one, we were talking about him as well. We were talking a lot during the podcast about him as well. So what do you think about Declan Rice?
I don't think I can say enough about Declan Rice. You'd need a whole other podcast just about Declan Rice.
Declan Rice podcast.
Yeah, he's unreal is the word I'd use to describe him.
Okay. And your favorite, Millwall?
I don't think I can say anything nice about Millwall. No, their stadium's in a very good location next to London Bridge Station. I'll give them that. That's all I'm going to say about Millwall.
That's the best thing of them.
Yeah.
Okay. And now we arrive to my favorite section of the podcast. I'm just going to tell you like some hypothetical things, and then you just need to choose between one or the other one. So two big stars as well that come to the team. Which one of these ones would you prefer that they come back in the same level that they had when they were in West Ham? Would you prefer Nocerino or Borriello?
Nocerino, I think.
Nocerino.
Yeah.
What about same situation, but now you can choose between Scott Parker or Noble?
Oh, that's so hard. I think I'd go for Scott Parker.
Do you prefer Scott Parker than the best Noble?
Yeah, I think Scott Parker. I remember Scott Parker just taking hold of games and just driving the team on. I love Mark Noble, but I just think Scott Parker for this one. Yeah,
he was good.
He was a very good player.
Well, now let's say that like West Ham doesn't exist, and you're still in London. Now you need to choose. Obviously, you don't gonna go with Millwall, but you need to choose between Arsenal, Chelsea, or Tottenham. Which one would you choose?
I think it'd have to be Chelsea. See, I live in South London, and there's a big divide between North and South London, so I think it'd have to be Chelsea.
Okay, you come back to your colours.
Yeah, I'd return.
Talking about Chelsea, what do you reckon? Like, which one it's more hated in the West Ham community, Lampard or Terry?
Lampard for sure. I think he had a bit of an unsavory exit with West Ham, and I don't think fans have ever let him go. So I think, when he comes to the London Stadium with Everton, I think he gets a pretty cold reception. I don't remember Terry getting that. I might be wrong, but I think Lampard would get a worse reception for sure.
And it's funny because I think like Lampard is more charismatic. Like
Mm.
he is like more, like not in trouble guy, like more
Yeah, he's more
chilling.
likable.
Yeah, more likable.
Yeah,
Terry has like a lot of problems behind
yeah.
him that you will say like, oh, I hate this guy. But curious.
Mm.
Well, and another this one, it's very funny because which one of these players will you sign again, even though you will have the same problems that before?
Okay.
Tevez or Macherano?
I think it'd have to be Tevez because Mascherano, quality player, but I don't think he ever really did it for West Ham. But Tevez, if he plays the same way that he played during that season where we escaped relegation,
Yeah.
we'd be flying. We'd be absolutely incredible. Even
Yeah,
though he
and
didn't train at all, apparently.
yeah, and Tevez was like more. It's a player more like decisive, like more. He can decide the game,
Mm-hmm.
like and in a club like West Ham at that moment, like
Yeah.
having finals every match, it's
Mm-hmm.
like
You
a
need
key
players like
player.
that who can
Yeah,
win it. Yeah.
Mascherano is very important, but he
Mm-hmm.
recovered the ball, he passed the ball, and that's it.
Yeah,
Tevez is the one that is gonna hold it and shoot and keep trying until it
for
comes in.
sure.
Yeah. This one. Would you prefer to qualify to the Champions League, right? Or would you prefer just win the conference?
I think I'd win the conference personally. I think having a bit of silverware would be great for West Ham. And that
Yeah.
obviously puts you in the Europa League for the next season, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
yeah, I think if we qualify for Champions League, we get battered every week. So
Could be like Munich, Real Madrid,
yeah,
and PSG in the same group
we'd be
with
like
West Ham.
Sheriff. We'd be the English Sheriff
Yeah.
Tiraspol of they are.
And look at Sheriff that they were like a decent
Didn't they beat Real
group
Madrid in the first
qualification,
game?
but they were to like just the knockout stage, and it was like, okay, bye. It's
Yeah.
very hard. It's very tough. Um, okay, and now, which would you prefer? Would you prefer to win the Euro 2020/21,
Mm-hmm.
or would you prefer win the Europa League with West Ham that year?
Oh.
You can choose the trophy.
See, I think personally, I know a lot of people are against this, but I think I'd rather see England win a trophy than West Ham. I think uniting the country, the atmosphere around the country for that whole Euros run was great. Everyone was involved and was interested in it. So I think winning that trophy would have been great. It would have given us a lot of confidence into this World Cup. Maybe we could have beaten France if we had that confidence. Who knows? But yeah, I think for me, it's always country over club, which I know a lot of people don't agree with.
Even here in Australia, it's a lot of people from England, and to be honest, during that Euro Cup, everyone was like, "It's coming home."
Mm.
I play soccer with a community club as well here, and it was a lot of like enthusiastic vibes from
Mm.
all the people from England, trying to like keep in that cup because it was very close and they were playing very well. And I
Yeah.
think like Italy never was the favorite. You were not expecting to have them after like the last couple of years and the performance
Mm.
of the team during the competition. Like England was
Yeah.
the best team playing, clearly, and it was like just shocking how that happened. Um, could you choose to keep Southgate as your coach in England, or would you try with a different one?
I think Southgate. I think he's earned the respect to have another go at either the Euros or another World Cup campaign. Um, I think this World Cup campaign showed that he's willing to change things and listen to the public opinion. In that he did take off Mason Mount when he was ineffective, and although he didn't put in, I mean, he put Phil Foden on the left wing where people want him in central. He put Henderson in, which is his way of securing that midfield three, so we could go and play forward. I would like to see him play a little bit more attacking. We've got the best attacking generation that we've had in a long time in England.
Yeah. And it's
So
still
to
very
utilize
young
it,
as well,
yeah,
which is very
yeah,
important.
exactly. I think to utilize that a bit more would be great. But I think he's earned the respect and time. But I think there's a lot of misinformed people who want him just gone, which is wrong, I think.
Which same, I think like one example that I personally say that it's a decent example about like that. It's Fernando Santos in Portugal. Even though was not the same like best team, he still have like players but as a Ronaldo, Bernardo, etc. He finally made it, and he with his like just the idea that they have of how to play, how to control the other European clubs, European nations. He did it and he won the 2016. So I think could be a good example of how this continue the same process for like 8 years. It's a decent amount of time to make it true. But because
I think
if he wins one Euro Cup, it's enough. Like you can say, okay,
for sure.
decent, see ya.
Yeah, England have won one trophy in our entire history. We've won one World Cup. We haven't won a Euros before.
Yeah.
And I think there was a stat I saw on Twitter the other day. In the whole time before Southgate, we'd won 8 World Cup knockout games. I think since Southgate's come in 2014 and 2018, we've won 6 or 7 or something like that. So I think the guy needs massive respect and needs that job secure. I think idiots shouting Southgate out just don't know what they're talking about, I think.
Yeah, he's done it. I think like personally, he's done it well. Like the 2014, like you beat Colombia, like you beat us. And like, to be honest, I personally thought that one was like way more close that this like against France. I think semifinals, it was a difficult game, but it was a winnable game. This match against France is just like very tough. That team is just like running very smoothly for 2 years. But well, let's see how like everything continue with Southgate. Okay, and the last question, Tom. What would you prefer? Would you prefer that West Ham move back to Upton Park, or would you prefer just keep going with the London Stadium if you have the choice?
I think stay with the London Stadium and make it a football ground rather than an athletics stadium. I think you look at what Man City did with the Etihad, how they turned that from a running arena into a stadium where they dropped everything down so you could have a rake all the way down to the pitch rather than a massive gap like we have now. I think, we're better off at the London Stadium provided we can make it a proper football stadium where people enjoy being fans rather than customers. Because that's what it feels like at the moment. They're constantly trying to sell you stuff. So, and you're miles away from the pitch. So if we can at least make that bottom tier closer and on top of the fans, not on top of the pitch like you were at Upton Park, we'd be a lot better off. I think having 60,000 is a massive pull.
Yeah, and I think as well, like it gives these vibes of like the environment of the stadium change as well and make a lot of pressure for the away team. So always like I see these stadiums that they have like a running like around the pitch, running area or like different like complex. It's just like the vibes of the actually fans change so much because it's very far when you see it very close. In South America happen a lot, like very tight stadiums. You can feel how the stadium moves. You can feel like the vibes and everything create like a very nice environment for the home team against the away.
I think you see a lot of the running tracks in Europe. I remember from the European campaign last season, I think it was Dinamo Zagreb had a massive running track around the pitch, but their fans were still going for it. I think a lot of the atmosphere problems at the London Stadium are our fans not wanting to adapt. And I know the club needs to arrange some kind of singing section so that we can get everyone who wants to shout and be loud in one section, then that will travel around the stadium. But I think games like Sevilla and Lyon and Frankfurt, we've shown that we can get the atmosphere going in there. So it's not the stadium, it's the people inside it and whether they want to get involved or not.
Okay.
So I think, yeah, the London Stadium is fine, provided we can make it a football stadium.
Yeah, it was very nice. Good, very nice to see another like good season with West Ham, like being like a fighting player for a fighting team for the European competitions, and why not for the Premier League? We saw like Leicester done it, and it was like,
yeah,
what the fuck, shocking. No one was like bidding anything for them, and they done it. So why not?
Yeah, I'd love to see it, but I don't think it's going to happen in the next few years. Maybe 5-10. We'll see if we're doing any better. But I'm happy with anywhere between kind of 6th and 9th, I think, is a successful season for West Ham.
Why not? You have a Paquetá. Tom, it was a pleasure to have you here in the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Grateful for all your very nice opinion and knowing like a little bit more about yourself, a little bit more about your story in the collector football shirts community, and also about the passion that you have for the Hammers. If you want to just like make a little reminder for the people where they can find you, and yeah.
So my Instagram is Tom Does Football, and where I post all my shirts and I get my girlfriend to rate them. She doesn't know anything about football shirts. She just kind of says if they're nice looking or they're ugly. She doesn't like that one at all. So be prepared for that one when it goes out.
Because it's Italy. You need to buy the French ones.
Yeah, I think she gave that one a 10 out of 10. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah, a bit of bias there. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. You can send in your shirts as well and we'll get her to rate them. Yeah, we just have a lot of fun on my page.
Very good. As I say, a pleasure to have you and know you. And yeah, you're welcome to the podcast every time you want. And to everyone that is watching this episode, thank you very much for click there. Don't remember to give me a like, a comment, share it, subscribe, etc. And see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.